Hey everyone, today I'm going to do an in-depth overview of Advanced AI Command. You can find this on the Steam Workshop, and I'll also have Advanced Repelling enabled because they work together for certain features. So subscribe on Steam to Advanced AI Command, launch Arma, and I'll show you all the features in the editor. Alright, Advanced AI Command is all about commanding groups other than your own on a battlefield. If you've used high command before in Arma, it is a full replacement for high command. To start, I will add a couple groups so that I can command them via the map. Drop a few groups here. I will also place some empty vehicles because you're able to interact with empty vehicles as well using this add-on. I'll add a Ghost Hawk, Pawnee, and let's just add some vehicles as well. And while we're at it, let's just add a helicopter that is crewed. Alright, so we have a few groups on the map. My group will have 4 units in it, and then there should be 1, 2, 3, 4 other groups that we have control over, since the helicopter is a group on its own. So when you launch the game, by default it's going to give you full control over any groups on your side. So we can see all these blue icons are the different groups available to control. This is my group. You can see there's 4 units in it. If I click between these, I can see in the upper right exactly what's in the group in terms of units and vehicles. When you click on one of the groups, you'll get a command menu on the left. So this will give you different options to control the group. The first one I'll show you is add waypoints. So best way to use this is you click on the group and your spacebar should be the default select action key. So you can just click and press spacebar and it will automatically click add waypoints. You can also press the middle mouse button, but I'll just press spacebar and that will give you this arrow that's following your cursor. So all you need to do, if you right click, you can move around the map. If you left click, you can place waypoints. So just keep left clicking as much as you want. When you're done, you right click to exit out of this mode. And that's it. So we've now placed a bunch of waypoints on the map and the group will start following them. Once you've placed waypoints, you can click on them, you can move them around. You can delete them by, again, using the command menu. After you click on the waypoint, you can go to delete waypoint, or you can hover over and press the delete key and they'll disappear. So very easy to move these around. After you click on a waypoint, you have a few items available that you can configure. You can add more waypoints, so that'll just add waypoints onto the end. I'm not going to do that. You can delete it. We showed that. You can set the group formation. I could set this group to column. So once the group starts heading towards this waypoint, they will be in the column formation. If you click on the waypoint, you can actually see in the upper right what the formation is set to for that waypoint. If you want to cancel that, you just delete it, and that's about it. There's two other things. So when you click on a waypoint, you can go and click on set waypoint type. By default, these are all move waypoints, so the group will just move between them. However, if you change the type to seek and destroy or loiter, this is more for aircraft, but if you change it to seek and destroy, the group will, once they reach their waypoint, they will walk around in various locations searching for enemy. So it's a little more realistic than them just following a strict path. I'll show you how that works. So let me just get rid of all these waypoints. If the waypoint's underneath a group, you can always click on the group itself and go to clear all waypoints. They'll remove all the waypoints assigned to the group. But let me add some more waypoints over here, and let me set the last one to seek and destroy. Let's move it up near me so I can see what they're doing. Alright, so I'm just going to speed up the game so they get to me a little faster. Alright, so I should see them walking towards me now. There they are. I'm going to slow down the game to normal speed. So they're almost at this waypoint. Once they get there, they're not just going to stop, they're actually going to move around searching for enemy. And there they go. So they'll just do that indefinitely until I give them another waypoint. Another thing you can do, so that covers the waypoints for ground troops. If you click on a group, we covered waypoints. You can change the color. So if you have multiple groups you're controlling, you can kind of configure them so they're easy to identify. This is also useful if you're doing this in multiplayer. In multiplayer, you can have multiple people commanding the same groups. And as you move stuff around, they'll see what you're moving in real time. But changing the color is good if you want to kind of designate certain groups to certain commanders. It's one good use of them. Next on the menu, if I click on the group again, I can set their behavior. This will just control if they're in combat mode, if they're in careless mode. This is also very useful if you're commanding trucks to drive around. A lot of the times you might want to put them in safe mode so they stay on the road. Sometimes if they're in combat, they'll veer off the road and get stuck. Just good to remember. Also on the behavior menu, there's toggle auto combat. You can turn it on and off. What this means is if the group senses danger, by default they will go into combat mode. So they'll move slower, they'll take cover. If you don't want that to happen, you can actually turn that off with the toggle auto command, or toggle auto combat. Next in the list we have group size. This will let you either take this group and join it with another group, or you can actually split up the group into multiple groups. Let me show you how split works. So you can split it in half, or you can split it into individual units. Since there's only 2 in this group, doesn't matter. But I'll split it into individual units. So they will disappear for a second and they'll come back. And now we have actually 2 groups here. And I can give them each their own waypoints. So very easy. Now if I want to join them back together, click on one, go to group size, join group, and click on the group I want to join to. And that's it. So now there's 2 units back in that original group. That covers group size. Group speed just controls how quickly they move on the ground and if they stay in formation or not. Group formation, we covered this with the waypoints. It's pretty straightforward. Set group combat mode, also pretty straightforward. You can read through the definitions if you want. Clear all waypoints will remove all the waypoints you've assigned to a group. So for instance, let me add some, and then I can click on the group, clear all waypoints, and you just got to confirm, and then they all disappear and the group will stop moving. Assign vehicle. So if you want to have this group get in an empty vehicle, so I think I put an empty Hemet on the map. So when I click on the group and go to assign vehicle, you get this arrow and you hover over the vehicle that you want them to get in. So let's put them in this helicopter here. I'll speed up the game. So here they come. They should board that helicopter. There they go. And then once they're in the helicopter, I didn't cover the icons, but the icons are the native symbols and they kind of describe what is in this group. So this little symbol means there's a helicopter in the group. So their icon actually changes once they get into different vehicles. Now I can, like normal, add waypoints and the group will actually fly away. There they go. So the same vehicle assignment can also work for ground vehicles. So for instance, I have this group of 8 over here. I want them to board the Hemet here. Let me just make sure the Hemet's empty. Oh, there's actually someone in there. I think that's right here. Yeah, so we have one unit in this Hemet. For now, let's unassign this vehicle from this person. So I can press unassign all, and the unit will get out of the vehicle. His icon will change, and I can move him away from the vehicle. And now this group of 8 down here, I can assign this vehicle to that group and they'll actually get in. However, to show you a kind of more complex example, so if I assign this guy back to the Hemet that he was in, he's going to go in and get in as the driver. Now I can also assign this group to the same Hemet. And what's going to happen is this driver will act as the primary group for this vehicle. And we'll see in a second, they're both going to the icons will overlay on top of each other, and only one will be enabled, which is going to be the driver. The other group acts as cargo. I'll show you how this works. So now we see, oh, actually it looks like the group of 8 became the driver. That's okay. So now there's one that's only selectable. I can't pick this other one. I can click on here and now add waypoints. So I'm giving the Hemet waypoints to move out. So now both the groups are moving in the Hemet. One's acting as cargo. This is good for transporting troops. So this also works on helicopters just as well. So once you get to where you want to go, you click on the primary group and I can unload other groups. So in this case, that group of 1 was acting as the cargo, so they'll get out of the vehicle and I can kind of move them around. The primary group remains in as the driver. It makes more sense if the unit of 1 was the driver, but it didn't work out. So now I can actually unassign the group of 8 from the vehicle if I want. and they'll all hop out. So there they go. You can assign as many groups as you want into a vehicle as long as they fit into the cargo seats. Alright, next thing I want to cover for the group command menu is remote control. So as a commander, you have the ability to remotely control any of the other groups and essentially take over control of their group leader. So if I click on this group of 8 right here, I can go and click on remote control, and now I am in control of that group of 8 units. To exit remote control, you can press delete and you'll jump back into your original player. The other way to exit remote control is if the unit that you're controlling is injured in any way, the remote control connection will terminate and you'll immediately go back to the commanding player. So let me, for instance, click on the helicopter and I'll remote control that. So for instance, if I crash this helicopter, helicopter blows up, but I am still safe. Pretty cool. Bad for the 2 units though. Now, let's see. So that covers pretty much everything for ground units. I want to talk a little bit more about the air units. So I have a ghost hawk here. And I have, let's see, I have helicopter pilot and I have 2 gunners. So for instance, let's take a group of 8. They should fit in the back of that ghost hawk. Let's assign them to the ghost hawk. And when you assign vehicles, it'll show you the vehicles within, I think it's 100 meters, but it's not the whole map. So you'll just see vehicles nearby the group that you're working with. So you just hover over the ghost hawk. There's actually 2 icons here just because of the difficulty level that I'm using in Arma. It shows by default it shows vehicle icons, but there should be one that's selectable. So click on that. And as we can see, the group's now running over to the helicopter. I'll speed it up. They should all hop in the back. Perfect. So now we have 2 groups in this helicopter. The pilot's selectable, the other one is not because they're cargo. And I can add waypoints. They'll take off. Alright, so moving air units around is pretty much the same as moving ground troops around. However, there's some other features that are available for the air. So let me do a quick overview of those. So I'll click on the air unit. There's a few other items here. First one is set fly-in height, so you can control how high the aircraft flies. Next one is land, so we can tell this helicopter to land somewhere. When you select it, you'll get an arrow, and you click where you want to land. And they'll fly right over there, and they should land in the nearest safe position. So they're actually going to fly over to a landing pad over here. And they'll just sit there until you give them another waypoint. They actually will turn off their engine. So let me give them a waypoint, have them fly in the air again. And now this time, let's look at one other one on here. So there's unload other groups, and what this will do is all the other groups that are not flying the helicopter will get out of the helicopter. So when you click on this helicopter will actually find a safe position to land, and they'll all get out. If you're using advanced repelling, one of my other add-ons, you can use that through this menu as well. So there's this repel other groups. I can click that and I get an arrow and I click where I want them to repel. So let's have them repel right near me. And let's just slow it down a little so we can see them coming in. So the helicopter is going to come right to that position. It's going to lower to 25 meters, and all the units that are not actually flying the helicopter, or all the groups that are not flying the helicopter, will repel out. So at the same time, for instance, I could give this helicopter some more waypoints. Helicopter's going to wait, and once all the groups get out, the helicopter will, or should, fly away. There it goes. And it will continue on this new waypoint path that I gave it. So that's pretty cool. Well, actually, sorry, I gave the group getting out of the vehicle the waypoints. So now they're following it. Anyways, that covers the group command menu for aircraft. There's a few other things with waypoints that you can do with aircraft, so I'll give this aircraft a couple waypoints. He's not cooperating. Few glitches here. Let's unassign the vehicle so the group will get out. Let's assign them back in. So let's see if they now take off and follow the waypoints. There they go. Okay, so once you have an aircraft unit or group, there's some additional things you can do with the waypoints. So if I click on this waypoint, I can set the flying height so they'll fly to a different altitude. I can set more importantly, I can set the type. So this is useful if you want, for instance, this helicopter to fly in circles around the battlefield for a certain duration. I can click on this and I can go to set waypoint type, and I can use loiter. So I can go clockwise around the waypoint, or I can go counterclockwise. So I'll select clockwise and I can give it a radius. This is basically how many meters from this position will they stay. So let's do 250 meters. So you can see up here, give us a little alert saying we've set the waypoint type. And when this helicopter gets to this position, we can see they're actually not going to go right to it. They're going to circle clockwise around here. So for instance, if I click on here, I see it's currently set to loiter. If I change the waypoint type to counterclockwise at 500 meters, let's speed it up and see what they do. They should circle the other way and actually move further away from that waypoint. Now if I delete this, or if I give this helicopter another move waypoint, it should immediately terminate the loiter waypoint. So they'll fly as if they're moving to it, and then they'll continue on their path. Now, so this is a little more advanced. If, let's say, you wanted the helicopter to fly in low to enemy base, and you then want them to do that loiter around the enemy position. So let's say we want them to circle around Air Station Mike. Let's give them some waypoints. So I'll have them fly over there. And we're going to have them circle right around there. Now, if we want them to go in low, we can click on them and set their fly-in height, or we could set the fly-in height right before the loiter waypoint. It's important to set the fly-in height before this waypoint, so you don't want to click on here and set it, but we can click on here and we can set the fly-in height to something pretty low. Let's do 20 meters. Alright, and then we can click over here and let's set the waypoint to loiter clockwise for 100 meters radius. And once they're done with that, we actually want them to move away, so let's have them fly out. Now, because we have a move waypoint directly after the loiter waypoint, the helicopter is just going to fly here and fly away. So this is when you have to use this duration. So we can tell them to basically circle around here for a minute, let's say. So let's speed up the game, and we should see them kind of circle around here for about a minute. And then when a minute's up, they should move on to the next waypoint. Well, didn't work exactly how I wanted, but essentially that's what will happen. And when you're done, we could have them land somewhere. So click on the group, land, and I'll have them land back at the base. So their waypoints will be canceled and they'll immediately return back to base and land at the safest position they can find. I think that just about covers it. Don't think there's anything else in here. Oh, well, there is one other thing. So that basically covers using this in-game. There is the ability to configure which groups you have control over and who has control over what by using the editor. So by default, if you use this add-on, if you run it in multiplayer or single player, by default, if you don't do anything, it's going to give you control over all of the groups on your side. So for instance, if you had a multiplayer game and you have two different sides, you will only see the groups on your side. So this could be powerful if you want to do kind of all your groups versus everyone else's groups. It's kind of neat. But let's say you want to do something a little more advanced and you want to only give control to certain groups to certain players. So that's when you can use the editor if you have a custom mission. Alright, so you want to go to the map view. Now my player was right here. Let's say I only want to have control over this helicopter and this group over here. And let's actually put another playable unit down. Oops. Make them playable. Right, so you can imagine if this was multiplayer, you'd have two different slots that you could play in. And we only want this one over here to have control over these two groups, and we want this other guy to have control over nothing. So to do that, you can use modules. So if you go to Systems, Modules, and search for AI, you'll find Advanced AI Commanders and Groups. So to set this up, we'll need to actually drag both of these out here. I'll do a quick tutorial on like how you can use these. It's pretty powerful. So once you drag them, you need to synchronize them with the groups. Let's see if I remember how to do this. So yeah, so you click on the module, go to connect and sync to So you want to sync it to the playable unit that you want to have that commander control. So this is the commanders module. If I actually left it at this and I didn't have this other module on here, this would essentially give this and only this playable unit control over to all groups on their side, essentially what I showed you previously. Now we don't want that. We want them to have control over only 2 of the groups. So I'll use this groups module. So now you gotta connect these 2 together. So we're saying this commander has control over this group module, and we're going to say this group module has control over this group and this group. Alright, so now when I play, hopefully we should only see 2 groups on the map. Yeah, so now I only have control over these 2 groups. And if I had joined as the other player, I would see neither. Let's make this the player. And if I go to the map, I got nothing. So that sums it up. Hopefully you find this useful and you can actually use this in some of your multiplayer co-op missions. I know my group uses this a lot. It's very powerful and very helpful in leading large-scale battles. Alright, have a good one. Let me know if you have any questions.